For the past 9 years, Chris Barnes has played his way into the hearts of bowling fans around the globe. 7 PBA titles, 2 major championships, and over $1 million in career earnings. But all that success has been surrounded by heartache. His struggles in TV finals are well known, including a disappointing second-place finish last week. Today, Barnes looks for redemption in Dallas, his hometown. Can Chris Barnes find success in Big D? We find out next. Welcome you to AMF Irving Lanes in Irving, Texas, minutes from downtown Dallas. ESPN brings you live coverage of the 2007 GEICO Classic. We have 4 bowlers all looking for their first title of the season. We start with the reigning Rookie of the Year, Bill O'Neill of Levittown, Pennsylvania, near Philly, taking on local favorite Chris Barnes, the PBA superstar, who lives about 20 minutes from this very bowling center. The winner of the O'Neill-Barnes match challenges the victor, emerging from the John May, Mike DeVaney matchup. Those two have combined for just 1 career title to date. Hello, bowling fans. Welcome to the Dallas Metroplex. Glad you could join us today. Dave Ryan alongside native Texan Norm Duke and Randy Peterson. Randy, perhaps last week's puzzle with Chris Barnes really defines what a difficult time it's been for us to figure out his great career. In the first match against Mike Edwards in El Paso, 269 to make the final. But in the championship match with Mika Koivuniemi, just a 185.
Well, I spoke with Chris after the title match, Dave, and he said he made some mistakes, and it started with a ball change on the left lane in the title match that backfired on him, and he compounded that problem with making bad shots and just poor execution. But make no mistake about it, Chris Barnes is a bona fide superstar out here, and like all great champions, he overcame adversity, he's persevered, he's back on television, and making back-to-back shows for the 12th time in his career.
And he's had a great season, folks. He's second in the Denny's PBA Tour in rankings right now. He's got 4 TV shows. That's tied for second on tour as well. Norm, you're a fellow superstar of Chris Barnes. You've won 25 titles on tour. How are the TV struggles affecting Chris Barnes right now?
Well, you can bet that the struggles have gotten into his head, and they will compound with every television loss. But the players out here are great. I mean, he lost to Mika Koivuniemi. He lost to Wes Malott. Those are no hacks. Those guys are superstars themselves. No one will win all of those games. But at some point, Chris Barnes has to say, enough is enough. And I believe that if he keeps the faith, and if he trusts in his training, and more importantly, draws from this electric Dallas crowd, he could turn everything around today.
This week's shark pattern, 44 feet in length, the longest of all the named patterns and the lowest scoring pattern, because the outside part of the lane is absolutely out of bounds. And this week was especially difficult because the pattern was applied to wood surface. That's right, we bowled on wood this week. And what happens is the front part of the lane hooks early, and it makes it difficult for the players to get to the break point consistently. Your champion today will be the player who repeats and makes quality shots and stays out of trouble.
The shark pattern at 44 feet. There have been 2 300 games and 1 from Chris Barnes, one of our 4 finalists today in the round of 32. Chris Barnes gets us started. And he is not in the pocket at all. Double wood and the 7. As we told you about, top of the broadcast, big theme of our show today, will Chris Barnes be able to overcome some struggles? His wife, Linda, an outstanding bowler in her own right, and the twins are here as well. Ryan and Troy turn 5 in May. Not an easy pickup, but he does handle it.
Boy, that's a tough spare out of the gate, too. He's lucky to get out of that one with a spare out of the gate.
And the first time all year, we're going to see Bill O'Neill coming up. And first, the replay of that difficult spare, Randy, with the pressure on early. That's a big one for Chris.
Yeah, Chris now feels like somebody just took a big cement weight off of his chest. Take a look at this guy. You watch Bill O'Neill at the bottom of the swings. You see his brother flew in Watch the handful at the bottom for this kid.
2-pin for Bill. His first shot on TV all year. Todd made the trip, got in here last night. We had a chance to meet Todd. Younger brother's finishing up his college days at Westchester. It's in Pennsylvania. Kinesiology major. Bill O'Neill went to college in Michigan, was a tremendous collegiate star at Saginaw Valley State. 4-time All-American there. Leading us north to the Ace Hardware matchup. Now, Bill O'Neill's had a lot of success collegiately, as did Chris Barnes, the amateur level too, but college success and pro success, two totally different things.
Yeah, they are, but Bill O'Neill has enjoyed some success out here. In fact, he is the reigning Rookie of the Year. He's yet to win, but he has had a runner-up finish. And the main thing is this guy's power. It's just raw power. Pins hit other pins, and he spares good with that rocket launcher he throws at him.
Norm, I thought it was interesting when Bill O'Neill told us, though, that he's trying to tame down some of this power. And you can see we're in the second frame of game one, and that ball is already crossing left of the fourth arrow. And I got to be honest, this is going to create a problem for the scoring for today's telecast.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. You know, all the guys on our telecast have a lot of rev rate. They started inside early in practice, and they're going to migrate farther and farther left as today's action continues. And I think it's who's going to be able to consistently get the ball to that 30-foot range. That's the guy with the advantage.
4 shows this year. Tied for second best on tours we talked about. All 10 down.
Wow. Norm, how big of an advantage is it for a player when he makes back-to-back shows that second time, that second week? What does it do? How much easier is it for him the second time around?
Well, it's huge. It's a lot better than being 6 months reserved from television, that's for sure. You just get more comfortable. You know what to expect. And you want to have more fun than you did the prior week, which first part of it was fun for Chris.
Wow. Crunches down 10 into the pit. Wes Malott, the only bowler, and also a Texan from the Dallas area, from Argyle, with more TV shows. And he gets a high five from his twin son's wife, Linda, who recently won that National Amateur Championship we told you about. That puts her on Team USA. She's an excellent bowler. Bill O'Neill's road to TV. Fairly easy dispatching of Steve Jarris here Friday night. He was very focused as we watched that match on Friday in taking down a longtime veteran. Beat some big names, Randy. Brian Voss and Tom Baker on the way to the show.
Yeah, and Bill said his idol growing up was Pete Weber. My idol growing up was Marshall Holman, but they're kind of out of a similar mold, if you will. A lot of power, a lot of excitement, a lot of fun to watch on television.
Comes in a touch high, looking for the hit on number 9 and won't get it.
A terrible break for Bill O'Neill. He was 12 pins down, looking to cut it to 2 and leaves the solid 9 on the hooking lane. Both players trying to keep the ball in the wall on the left lane so it just doesn't migrate high, but the solid 9 at this position in the game just allows Barnes to stack 4 in a row and run away from him.
So you guys are seeing noticeable differences in the hook on the 2 lanes here.
Yeah, to me it looks like it's good 4 to 5 boards at the arrows.
Yeah, left lane hooking more. Sends the players farther left. That's really a good thing, because if it was the right lane that was hooking so much, they would run into that ball return where they'd be there already.
And Randy, who does that benefit right now?
All of them?
You remember my prediction from last week, Dave? I mean, you know, Norm made a good point. I mean, if it's on the left lane, you don't run out of approach. You can move as far left on the approach as you want to create angle. If you have to, you loft it over the gutter cap. But on the right lane, now you run into the ball return, then you have to stand in front of the ball return, and that could create a little bit of a problem.
There we go. Yes!
He liked that on release. And has hit a roll after his 7-count spare on his first frame.
I think Chris Barnes is doing the smart thing. I mean, he's moving right. Now you can see where he started the match. Look how deep he was there. That's the first frame. And this is the third frame. Look at how much further right that shot is. And I think that what makes Chris Barnes so great is that he can manipulate the release point, the bowling ball. He can hook it, but he can also go straight when he has to.
Same sort of idea. And he leaves the 2-pin for a spare.
Yeah, this is almost a fallback shot from the word go. It just didn't fall back quite as much as it needed to lay there in the flush zone. Migrating high for the 4-pin. He'll take that spare. Pressure still on Bill O'Neill.
Single pin numbers this week. Percentage goes up a bit there for Chris Barnes. Randy talked about Chris being in back-to-back TV shows, 12th time in his career. All-time leader in that category. How about Walter A. Williams Jr., folks? 47 times.
About the leader in just about every category.
Amazing. So Chris is tied for 9th all-time. Bill O'Neill makes his second ever TV show last year in Omaha. 30 events ago. And it was early in the season. Made his TV debut. Lost to Mike Machuga in the final. Well, 10 down for O'Neill.
I think it's important to point out for Bill O'Neill, though, is he's not just making the top 32 and then winning a couple of matches. This guy has dominated the field on 3 or 4 occasions this year. A couple of times last year where he just runs away from people. Now, Mike DeVaney led this tournament, but Bill O'Neill held the lead for the better part of the second 7-game match. Qualifying. DeVaney took over the lead in the last game.
Comes in light as he looks for that 1-3 pocket.
I suspect that the left lane is going to be the question mark today. And as you can see, Bill O'Neill struggled to get his ball to go flush. And the one shot that he did get flush, he left a solid 9 flush, meaning a little bit deeper into that 1-3 pocket. But I suspect that that's going to be the tricky lane of the two.
Well, I believe you're right, and I think it's because the hook on the left lane is predominantly on the front part of it.
Right.
As soon as you move inside of that hook, there's nothing on the back end to get the ball to turn up to the pins.
Takes care of the 8-pin, single pin conversion. For Bill O'Neill, last year's Rookie of the Year against PBA superstar and local hero Chris Barnes, who emerges from this semifinal and makes the final match. We've got much more from the GEICO Classic here in Dallas. Welcome back, everyone. GEICO Classic, AMF Irving Lanes in Irving, Texas. To the Denny's PBA Tour average leaders are Norm Duke, still atop the list at 229 plus. Chris Barnes, one of our 4 finalists in today's TV show from the Metroplex, 7th place right now. Norm, time for a weekly update on the toe. How is it?
It's good. I got some practice in yesterday, day before yesterday. I will be ready next week.
We look forward to that. Norm Duke with his 2 titles this year. Look forward to seeing Normy back in action. Council Bluffs, Iowa. So 6th frame, 21-pin lead for the hometown hero here. Chris Barnes. Randy, on Friday, great crowd in attendance to watch the round of 8 match with Tim Chris. As he takes a re-rack. How about home lane advantage? What does it mean to a bowler like Chris Barnes here?
Well, it means he gets the comforts of home, sleeping in his own bed, gets to be around his family, although Chris told us this week it was pretty hectic for him, them trying to move into a new house and having to deal with all that. But, boy, nothing beats staying at home.
Oh, late bump on number 10. Down she goes.
Yeah, part of the problem with not playing that big hook is you have to deal with this flat 10. Now, he gets the love tap on at this shot, but that's something you're not going to be able to rely on time and time again. He's going to have to either get the ball with more power into the pins when it hits or flush her into the 1-3 pocket.
Seventh frame. right at the head pin.
Another board.
And leaves the 4.
You got to be real careful on this left lane because there is so much friction. Again, remember, folks, that we're on a wood surface this week, not synthetic. And a wood surface is much more porous, softer than the plastic or synthetic lanes, and so the oil absorption rate is much, much faster, and wood lanes are going to hook a lot more. And you got to be careful on this left lane because of all that friction. And what I think what the tough part is that when the players play in, the tendency is to really make sure that you hit the ball at the bottom of the swing. Otherwise, subconsciously, you don't feel like your ball is going to hit. But there's so much friction out there, you don't have to do a whole lot to it.
You don't have to help the ball.
And speaking of wood, that's called dead wood.
And help it.
And that has to be removed before a shot is thrown.
Bill O'Neill trying to become the first rookie of the year to win a title the year after being named the top rookie since 98-99. Been a while since that's happened. It's a nice season. Wow.
Nice.
And again, that's the power that we talked about. You get too much hand in it on this surface, Norm. With that much hand, watch this ball break loose when it gets down to the back part of the lane. And that's Bill O'Neill's A game, is that big power game. And that's he said that's the one thing he's been working on. He's going to work on in the summer, is trying to tame it down. When the adrenaline gets going, I mean, that's what you rely on.
Only the second show. Learning as he goes out there. Baby split. Takes care of it nice. A good pickup by Bill O'Neill.
Well, Bill O'Neill got this far in the tournament because of his ability to wind on the shot. So when he winds on one and gets it off his hand good and it migrates high, that's not a good thing. He's going to have to make a big move now. It's not just an incremental one-board move.
Chris Barnes, also a former Rookie of the Year, won the next season, so that's the last time that's happened. Right now, Bill O'Neill down by 23 pins. Saginaw Valley State and Saginaw, Michigan, 4-time All-American, 3-time Bowling Writers Association Bowler of the Year. He racked up some honors, coming in high, and leaves a 4-pin.
And that's a pretty good shot for Bill O'Neill. He just changed balls, went to one that does not hook quite as much, so he can get full hand in there and keep the ball in the pocket. But as it retains its energy all the way to that back end part of the lane, here it goes. Whoop! Luckily.
Did you see how far to the inside his hand was at the bottom of the swing? I mean, that's just tremendous. That's the kind of release, that's the kind of position you dream about getting in. That's how he's able to create all that hit and all that hook. It'd be nice just to be able to do that once.
Yeah, I'm dreaming about it right now, thinking about what you just said. All the players want to keep their hand behind the ball as long as possible, but as soon as, for a right-hander, as soon as that ball crosses your right leg, the trailing leg, at that point it's okay to get around it, get some rotation in it. Bill O'Neill stays behind the ball as long as anybody, and so does this guy.
Key spot, guys. Chris Barnes trying to put away Bill O'Neill. Has all 10 down into the pit. Fourth TV show of the year for him. Japan Cup, runner-up in Chicago to Wes Malott, runner-up last week to Mika Koivuniemi.
And what a great player. I mean, I've been watching this guy for a long time.
When I see Chris Barnes go through the release point like this, watch how just nice and soft and smooth, that hand's open. When I see that, to me it equals a really good shot. And you can see the 6-pin goes to the sidewall and does its business on the 10, and when the pins react like that, it's clean out of your hand.
Two-pin stance here for him.
One more.
Now, how about that left lane? You know, you're watching somebody with the talent of Chris Barnes, the ability to manipulate that shot, and he's still having problems after 5 shots on the left lane. That's to tell you just how difficult it is.
See, and that shot there looked like he had a little recoil in that hand. And I know that he went 4-pin the last 2 times on that lane and wanted to make sure he didn't go high. At this juncture right now, he's at a 219 pace with a spare here. And Bill O'Neill's max score is 215. Chris knows he just has to stay out of trouble. He gets to finish on his good lane, the right lane.
Big smile back to wife Lynn and the boys. We want to make sure the kids are relaxed too. Good to see them sitting on the show back there. Behave themselves quite well. I'm impressed.
The Twins.
Hard to believe they'll be 5 years old this year.
Wait a minute. One of them's not sitting.
Back to O'Neill. Great pin action as the 9 goes down.
Well, you know that much has been documented about Chris Barnes and his ability to get up under pressure. Now, don't think Bill O'Neill isn't thinking about this. If he can get the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th here, he forces Chris Barnes to mark. Now, even though Chris likes the right lane more than the left, it's still not a gimme mark. This is the shark pattern. Mistakes turn into splits on this pattern. My God.
Well, Norm, it looked like he made a huge move there. Went to a different bowling ball, one with a lower pin placement. Big jump left to get something that he knows will hook, and it proves to be too much hook.
Yeah, he does. He goes to a lower pin on that left lane and then a giant step left. It hooked. That's for sure.
Almost crossed over for Brooklyn there. Takes care of the 6-10, but needed to strike out, as Norm said correctly, to put some pressure on Chris Barnes.
I know this one's gonna strike.
First 36 events of his career, no victory yet for Bill O'Neill. Way off.
That's a tough lane, Randy.
Well, you can put some chili on this match, Stella, because it's done. Chris Barnes is going to advance to the title match for the 2nd consecutive week.
3rd time this year. He'll be in the finals. Going for his first win with shots just like that one.
Yeah, at this point, Chris Barnes wishes he could finish on the left lane just so he could do a little reconnaissance mission over there. He's got this right lane, looks like pretty comfortably, but that left lane, it's still a big question mark for him. Now, the good news, he gets to wait a whole game, so there's going to be plenty of changes on both of these lanes by the time he gets back.
That's the good news?
It's got to be good news when you're lost.
Things will change. They always do. Lanes go through their transition. The 2nd semifinal coming up.
Just a great, solid game. He left that split in the first frame, and after that, he didn't miss the pocket, and he just kept everything. Well, he missed pocket once, left the 2 pin, but when he missed, it was 9 spare.
Thank you. Nice choice.
I liked his demeanor as well. Very relaxed, constantly smiling back to the family, the Twins' wife, Linda, and it's time for a high five, boys. Daddy just won. John May will take on Mike DeVaney next. The winner to play Chris Barnes for the title. Chris Barnes has defeated Bill O'Neill. First matchup. John May, Mike DeVaney coming up. 229-192. Barnes a victor in the first semifinal. Each week we ask the best players in the world to show us what in their bag of tricks in the PBA Skills Challenge they can show us. This week's Young Gun versus Legend matchup features semifinal action with Wes Malott and Chris Johnson squaring off against the legendary duo of Norm Duke and Brian Voss.
You have to make it over the chair
Without hitting it.
without hitting it to qualify. That's
And
what
under
that-
without hitting it also. But let's go under and over without hitting.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Okay. I need more explanation than that, that's for sure.
We're good to go? Whenever you're ready.
Here they go. One under and one over.
Don't hit. 2 gutters.
And all 10 down for the Young Guns.
I'm comfortable.
Pretty nice.
I know this.
Seen that before.
I'm going to get this on the left side.
West Block great at lofting. Chris Johnson just has to keep it underneath the other chair.
Strike under the chair. Needs
All 10 down.
You were worried?
Wes can get it over. You just strike, and I'll just try to
can't
get it over
be
the
easy.
chair. Best I can.
Brian, if you want to switch to like 12 pounds for
Are
the
you
rest of
ready?
the season, I'll let you throw a 12-pounder ball now.
Are you ready, Brian? Okay, I'm ready.
Here it is. They've got a match.
You just strike.
Time before
Just
you.
don't worry about me. You just strike.
Norm goes under. PB is over. All 10 down.
That's a keeper.
And neither team gets the X because they each strike. Well done by the Legends.
They had to keep one under and get one over and strike.
With the bird.
They did just that. They didn't say you couldn't foul.
It's pretty athletic there.
Come on, partner.
Thumb only strike now. Through two chairs.
Oh, no.
5 pin.
Oh, no.
7. Can you beat 7?
All right.
You want me to do it? You want to do
This
it?
is so bad.
Okay, Norm's doing it. You want to beat
Chris Johnson from outside Dallas, 7 down.
Only. Thumb only.
Much more
7
difficult to
or
hold on to
better,
a
or they get the
16-pound
X.
bowling ball with just your thumb.
There's the grip. Norm takes his
Easy on
time.
the cough over there.
He did it. And the Legends pick up the X. 3 wins the match.
Nice.
Norm is relying on his great swing direction, and all he has to do is hold on to it with his
Your
thumb.
choice. Nice towel. The cleanest towel ever.
That's a beautiful towel. This is you, right, Wes?
Oh, the old standby for
count
Norm.
But you have to go through the chair, not hit it, of course.
Sweet.
This is always a great shot for him. In the skills challenge format.
There, strike. Come on. Come on. Nice.
4
man.
pins.
That's tough. That's tough.
Pretty good count for Norm Duke.
Nice, partner. Nice.
Well, once they got
No.
Wes Malott's team down, you knew that they were going to go to the old standby towel shot. Now, Wes
Good
Malott
strategy.
behind the 8 ball here. Let's see if he's any good at the Norm Duke towel trick.
Oh, he got it through.
Well, he did get it through the chair, but just takes out the 1 pin. And the Legends have 2 X's. 3 will win the match for them.
Well, right here, Wes Malott's using the backup ball towel. Should have used the hook towel. It's a pretty good effort just to get it underneath the chair.
I like that thought.
I don't like your chances, but
The Hall of Famers look confident. And Norm makes his prediction. Over.
Oh, gee.
that's all right.
The big 4, 6 pins.
Long ways down there.
Come on, babe.
Wes Malott feels good about this because he doesn't think Brian Voss can throw it over the chair, let alone get 6.
Better. Correct. Come on, you can do it. I know you
Serious
can do it.
loft there from big Wes Malott.
Come on, B. The big chair, dude. I'm on you. I'm in your corner. All right.
The Legends are counting on Brian Voss. Oh, he caught the top of the chair. Too bad because it was a strike. But Malott Johnson pick up their first X of the match.
Right there.
Because we can do this one.
Went Brooklyn.
They're on the late side.
Okay, between the teammates' legs.
I got mine. I got mine. I got mine.
7-10. You bet.
That's teamwork. It's all about teamwork.
Oh, yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Puts the not easier on my butt that time.
Voss throws it real slow and hooks it.
They know it. Now we're
Gives Norm some room to throw the straight ball at the 10. Well done.
All right. I got a party with you later on.
Can the young guys match it is the question.
All right, you ready, Wes?
Whenever you're ready.
Just watch my bum, please.
Chris Johnson goes first.
Oh,
Wes will
and?
follow.
Oh, no!
Just whiffs on the 10. Brian Voss, Norm Duke, victorious. They advance to the final.
Which team will be crowned skills champion? Find out next week. We'll catch all the PBA Skills Challenge action in its entirety. February 18th, 2 o'clock Eastern Time, immediately following our broadcast of the Denny's PBA Tour Go RVing Classic from Council Bluffs, Iowa. Quarterfinals, semis, and finals, 2 to 3 Eastern next week here on ESPN. There's Jason Couch, won a couple titles in the second half after none in the first. He's making a run for Player of the Year. Mike DeVaney would like to throw his name in the hat too, but he's got to win some titles first. He's only won 1 in his career. What oil pattern to come on? The Shark. We've got that today here in Dallas. 2 rookies of the year going head-to-head. First matchup, Chris Barnes knocking off Bill O'Neill, 229-192. Mike DeVaney, John May. The next matchup to see who will take on Barnes in the final. PBA.com is your best source for all the latest news, stats, player features, officially licensed PBA merchandise. Head to the PBA's online store to order the latest PBA gear, including shirts, hats, hoodies, polos, and more, all bearing the official PBA logo. To place your order, simply click on the merchandise link on the PBA.com home page. Been a long time since we've seen this guy on TV. John May, Iron Station, North Carolina, near Charlotte. And he starts with a strike. Guys, this is the first time that John May has ever appeared on live television. His prior two shows were taped. Randy, what's going through his mind right now?
Oh, he's scared. Johnny May's, I've known Johnny May for quite a few years. He's a great guy. He loves to play golf, tennis, water skiing, dirt track racing, 34 years of age. He's a single guy, available, girls, if you're watching. But just a really nice guy.
Here's Mike DeVaney from Southern California. Temecula near San Diego. He's a huge Padres and Chargers fan. And Norm, as we look at the matchup between these two, the Ace Hardware matchup, both looking for a chance to really make a name for themselves this year. For John May, it's been so long since he's been on TV, 6 years.
Yeah, well, the matchup is identical. I mean, you can't go one way or the other here. 12-5 and 12-6, both of them had a pretty good match play record.
So far left, Mike DeVaney is, and he's got 10 down to the pit there. Now PBA member since 95, 34 years old. He's been on and off the PBA Tour. John May trying to get things going and win his first title.
And Mike DeVaney is one of the funniest guys you'll ever meet. We'll get back to that after John May throws his shot.
You said he's scared, Randy. John May did not look very scared after that first shot. He's scared now.
Way off the mark.
Well, Norm, maybe I should have said he's just nervous. I mean, everybody's nervous. First couple of shots on television, and it doesn't matter if it's John May or you. First couple shots, you're going to be nervous.
Well, I can't agree with you more. It's just that after he threw the first shot, he had me convinced that he was. But now I'm a believer.
He had a lot of people convinced.
Tough split, guys. To say the least here. 210.
Might have it.
Oh! Sprays it just wide of the 10 pin for an open frame. Good effort there from John May. He got his exempt status this year in a very tight regional race, one of our regional champions. First time since the Orleans Casino Open back in 01. That was not a live show. Taped telecast that day. It's been that long for him. Won the South Region title. Point ranking championship over Pete Dohan. Perfect shot there. That went down to the very last day. They each lost in the round of 16, but John May won on points. That's how he earned his exempt status for this year. And now he's made TV. Road to television for Mike DeVaney.
Joe Giacone, Mike Machuga, and Eugene McCune disposed of all of them quite quickly.
Looking high, and a difficult split. 4, 7, 10. Ready? How do you attack this one?
Get the ball over to the left side of the 4 pin and slide it over into the 10, and the ball take care of the 7. But again, we saw Bill O'Neill do this in the first match against Chris Barnes. There's just a lot of hand. Mike DeVaney's got a lot of hand. Got to get the ball over here, hit this 4 pin, slide it over into the 10, and the ball will take care of that. Getting back to this guy right here, Mike DeVaney. Nice try there. One of the funniest guys you'll ever meet, and of course, leaving the 4-7-10 on a double is nothing to laugh about. But I mean, his nickname is Monkey Boy. Most people have no idea just how funny this guy is, and I'll tell you what, sit down for a dinner and a couple of beers with this guy, and he is hysterically funny.
But told us last night he does not like to bring the humor out on TV because things are different than when you're bowling in a regular match play event. TV lights, the crowd, the cameras, the announcers, it's a different scene, and that comedic side of him doesn't really come out so much.
Well, you know, and he did. He said that, in his opinion, that the atmosphere is not bowler friendly. Now, I'm here to tell you, once you get used to this atmosphere, I think it is all friendly for the bowlers. I just love it, and he is trying to adjust, you know, in his early stages of television exposure, and when he does, he's going to end up loving it. He's going to be good at it. Now John May.
All 10 down for May. January 25th, Randy, 2001, his last TV appearance. He actually knocked off the king, Walter Ray Williams Jr. in Vegas, lost to Michael Haugen Jr. The event won by Ryan Schaefer. The long layoff for TV for John May. How can he handle this?
Well, first of all, the reason why he's bowling on TV today is because he worked with Brian Graham, who got him to do some major changes in his swing. You're going to watch one right now. What he's trying to do is keep his trail leg, his right foot, on the ground at release. He used to have that heel way up off the floor, and what this has done is it helped to relax his swing in the downswing. Watch this.
All 10 down. And Randy, it's an amazing story. After finishing last place in the qualifying last week, he thought about quitting the tour and going home. This week, after making those improvements you talked about, makes the show.
Yeah, he was ready to go home. And that shot there, he didn't quite keep his foot on the ground like he did in practice. But again, the adrenaline, the nerves, he's pumped up. And he's got Mike DeVaney in a hole early on.
DeVaney responds.
Very impressive release, Norm. You got to admit, Mike DeVaney at release is pretty fun to watch.
Well, there's no doubt, and you can tell from both of these players, we're on the shark pattern. It's a very long pattern, and playing inside is much better than the outside part of the lane usually, and these two guys utilizing their ability to get the ball long, and they're doing so with spin and, in John May's case, loft. Spin only for Mike DeVaney.
Help here. Remember, the last time Mike DeVaney won was on the shark pattern.
I remember it very well.
Well, you should. You had a pretty big day that day.
DeVaney coming off a big season, guys. 7th in the PBA Tour in points, 8 top 10 finishes. His last TV show, 19 events back. Parkersburg made the final loss to Sean Rash. Memorable day for the former Wichita State star. There's another one on this show, and Chris Barnes, who awaits the winner of Mike DeVaney and John May, have combined for one career title. It's been 6 years since May's been on TV, but he looks pretty relaxed so far. He's got a lead on Mike DeVaney. The conclusion of this semifinal comes away from the Metroplex next. The GEICO Classic on ESPN is brought to you by Discover Card. It's time a credit card put you in the driver's seat. By GEICO, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit geico.com. And by Prescription Flomax. We're at the GEICO Classic, AMF Irving Lanes, Irving, Texas, not far from Dallas. Going to be back in the Metroplex for a 41st time, first here ever at AMF Irving Lanes. Mike DeVaney and John May in a good semifinal here. Mike is the subject of the Atonic Edge.
Mike DeVaney with a 6-step approach. Very level shoulders. Gets those shoulders open at the bottom of the downswing. You see his grip. It's a Sarge Easter grip where his ring finger is kind of conventional. Middle finger is fingertip. And look at the rotation. I said it earlier, Norm. A lot of fun to watch it when he's really getting on at the bottom of the swing. Creates a lot of power. A lot of speed, a lot of power, equals a lot of strikes.
Yeah, it's hard to spin a ball and get rotation on it at the same time. That's what Mike DeVaney does. He spins it and he rotates it.
This guy spins it a little bit here, Johnny May.
Yeah, he's spinning loft. Watch this guy loft that ball over the trouble, spinning it simultaneously, and that's what gets this ball to make that left turn.
He's got a 7-pin here. John from just outside Charlotte, North Carolina. Bid for his first ever title. Won plenty of times on the regional level, but never in the big show.
21 regional titles to his credit, and this is a pretty good shot that strikes about 90% of the time, and John knows if he strikes there, he could really create a big lead halfway through this match, and he's been perfect all week long on single pin conversions.
Takes care of that one. Was going for the 4-bagger in that frame. So John made the tour by winning the Southern Region points titles we told you about. One of 6 bowlers to earn the exempt status through regional titles.
Yeah, look who he defeated. Tommy Jones, Wes Malott, and Chris Warren, one of my buddies here from Dallas. Chris had the Dallas crowd, believe me. So for John May, he's had his work cut out for him.
Of those regional winners, Norm. None has won a title yet.
Well, that's a good point.
Jack Jurek made a show earlier this year. Remember that in the Masters? Lost in the finals to Doug Kent in Milwaukee. There's a 7-pin for John May. So John trying to make quite a bit of history today.
He is, and this is a great try. Carbon copy of the one before it. Both times, as Randy says, he's going to get strikes 90% of the time. He's sending the 5-pin and all the varsity team over to the 7-pin and can't get it.
And I think the thing that the players like most about this week with the scores being lower is they didn't feel like they had to throw 4, 5, 6, 7 baggers to stay in the match. And that's exactly what we're seeing.
You're right, and both players did make mention that they were happy with the scoring pace this week, and for that reason. They didn't feel like they had to strike from the first frame on just to stay in a match.
59 events between TV appearances for John May. Mike DeVaney has an 82-event title drought. You see the Flomax weekly update. Last week, El Paso, 29th place. Looking high. Through the nose it goes there, and a 3-6 for DeVaney.
A little soft here, it looks like, but you know, this match is a matchup of two guys that were completely distraught last week. And I talked with both guys last week. And Dave, you made mention of John May and how he was ready to go home. And Mike DeVaney wasn't that far behind. And it's just amazing what a difference a week can make out here.
Takes care of the 3-6. Randy, it's a great point. The difficulty in making the show week in and week out. How hard, Norm and Randy, to be consistent at your level is so hard. And the emotion that goes into it, their life is dependent on success on the tour.
Well, Mike DeVaney is recently married to wife Carrie. They're expecting their first child in a couple of months, and that's a huge responsibility. I have 2 children myself.
Oh, boy. Got a break on the 4-pin. He didn't like it at all, did he?
Now, when you say, oh, boy, after you let go of it, it's usually not a good sign, but tripping the 4 always is. So, yeah, these guys are under a tremendous amount of pressure, not to mention the fact that as in any sport, when you go up against the greatest in the world, it's not easy. If it was easy, everybody could do it.
Back to John May, big Carolina Panthers fan. Has a late trip on number 7 himself. Keep things interesting here in the 8th frame.
And you know, when you look at a non-titleist, you got to remember the last thing they do every week is lose. They haven't won. The last thing you remember is that you lose. And it gets tiring, it gets old, it's frustrating, and you know, all the calls home trying to explain why it is that you can't come through. Believe me, it'll work on you. It's worked on me. It's worked on Chris Barnes. Works on the entire field. One guy it won't work on, the guy who holds the trophy.
Maybe it's John May this time. Has a 10-pin.
Well, I'll tell you what, the last 4 shots that John May has thrown have looked awfully, awfully good.
Yeah, I think he'll take the same 4 shots right now, the next 4. Back-to-back blower 7 pins. Finally gets the love tap on the 7, and now the ring in 10. If it's not one thing, it's 2.
Single pin number is perfect for him. Norm, you talked about trying to call home and explain yourself. John got more than 60 calls when he won the round of 8 the other night to make it in the show after a 5-game victory over Chris Warren. Text messages, email, and he was overwhelmed. Didn't sleep, he said, it all Friday night. He was so excited, so pumped up.
Said he went 2 days without sleep.
Wow.
When you have 60 calls, it's not hard to stay up all night, is it?
Well, good thing he has nights and weekends.
Exactly.
Foundation frame here for DeVaney, down 6.
Oh, that's
Look out. Whoa.
Well, it's a bad shot, and on the shark pattern, we talked about it in the open. The lanes are very slick to the outside part, and this is just a whiff by Mike DeVaney. And I mean, he's playing so far in, he knows he has to get the ball right, but if you get it too far right, it hits that cliff of oil. Now he's left himself with a pretty tough spare.
Yeah, this spare would be a lot easier if you're lined up into the pocket, which he isn't. That looks like it. Oh!
He'll leave the 8-pin.
That looked perfect to me.
I don't know how he left the 8-pin on that spare.
Well, besides his ball Missing the 8-pin. I can't figure it out either.
Watch this. Check this out. I mean, this looks absolutely perfect. Let's try to figure out how he leaves the 8-pin.
We've got 3 pins and the ball.
Oh, my. The ball stopped and went right by it. That is amazing.
A little more relaxed now, but in a big hole. Mike DeVaney with that late open.
Yeah, that was catastrophic.
Yeah,
Mike DeVaney. I mean, if he makes a spare, he doesn't lose any count.
Right.
Doesn't open.
Now he has to strike out, and he'll need help from John May. He'll need an open in the 10th fray from John May because the best he can shoot now is 198.
Thought it was interesting what Mike told us yesterday, guys, about being in control on TV. The only time he felt he really was there when he won his title, his lone title back in 2003 in Tacoma. Norm knows. I'll show you run.
Hey, you know, he was in control that day. He beat my 248 in the title match with 279, and I didn't think that he had a shot any better than 240 at best. So he rose to the occasion and actually used that electric crowd to his advantage. I mean, they were knocking pins down for both of us at that point. And I think that would be the optimum thing for Mike to learn from this, is that the crowd can do a lot more for you than distract.
7, got 8, and John May will take the victory as Mike DeVaney packs up his gear. John May's first ever live TV show and first appearance on television was a tape show 6 years ago. Will make the final to take on Chris Barnes, the local favorite. A week ago, he was on the verge of going home to North Carolina, quitting the tour entirely. He was so frustrated, said he was fried completely. Now he's in the final. What a story. He takes on the hometown hero, Chris Barnes, the final next. Getting set for John May, Chris Barnes, the final. Today from here in Irving, Texas. Each week, we'll give you an inside look at some of Walter Ray Williams' greatest victories. Let's join Walter Ray from his RV as we go on the road to number 1, brought to you by Go RV.
2003 U.S. Open was Valley, and it's actually a site of the very first regional tournament that I bowled in 1980 as a non-member. Pete Weber was on the TV finals, as was Michael Haugen. Fortunate for Michael, he came out on the top end, and Michael bowled against me, and I shot a 233 or 234 game against him and managed to win the game and win the tournament. So it was obviously, anytime you can lead the tournament and win, especially in a major tournament, it's a great feeling. And it was part of another career year that I had in the 2002-2003 season when I set the earnings record with over $418,000.
Join us as we travel with Walter Ray Williams Jr. and his RV on the road. And number 1, visit GoRVing.com to plan your own trip. And let's go on the road again with ESPN and the Denny's PBA Tour. Upcoming stops for you. GoRVing Classic, speaking of GoRVing, near Omaha, Nebraska, Council Bluffs, Iowa, 12:30 Eastern Time on ESPN. Be sure to log on to PBA.com for Pro-Am times.
Dave, why don't you and I get an RV, hit the open road, let's see the country, you and me together. What do you say?
Great idea. Then we'll go to Parkersburg, West Virginia, February 25th, our show, 12:30 Eastern here on ESPN. Emerson Lanes in Parkersburg, where Sean Rash won a year ago. All the Pro-Am ticket times available for you at PBA.com. Our championship match comes your way next from the Metroplex. Who's it going to be, Barnes or May? We find out next. We are back in Dallas, Denny's PBA Tour. First time since the 04-05 season when Patrick Allen won en route to his Player of the Year honors. The first event held here in 1961 when Dick Weber won the 61 All-American at Cotton Bowl Classic. Dave, Randy, and Norm with you. And Randy, let's check in with the GEICO Championship recap.
If you say so. Semifinal number 1. Hometown favorite Chris Barnes defeated Bill O'Neill by the score of 229 to 192. And in semifinal number 2, John May defeated Mike DeVaney by the score of 193 to 188. John May looking to win for the first time in his career.
That's the GEICO Championship recap, and we're set to go. It'll be John May's first ever live televised final. Did make one final before. Chattanooga, Tennessee, the year 2000 lost to Parker Bone III in that title match. Second career. Title tilt. Comes right now. Off to a good start.
And Norm Healey shot 190 the first game, but his ball reaction looks much better than that, doesn't it?
Well, it does. He left all those 7 pins. He left the ring in 10. He really bowled a great 193. Plus, he gave the 10th frame away when he threw it right down the middle with a plastic ball and left the split. He could have bowled 230 or 40 pretty easy. Chris has got his hands full.
His wife and twin boys here watching carefully. Chris from about 20 minutes away here in the Dallas area has all 10 down himself to begin this championship match, leading us to the Ace Hardware matchup. Well, Randy, the big question with Chris Barnes, this is the moment. Now, he won last week in the semifinals in El Paso, the big game with Mike Edwards, but folded in the finals against Mika Koivuniemi. Can he come through today against John May?
That's a great question, and I think what's interesting is that Chris Barnes is a higher seed in this match, and he chose to finish on the left lane, a lane that he only struck once on in his opening match.
Yes! Day! This is the time, says Chris Barnes.
Well, what that tells me is that the lanes are changing. When a guy chooses to finish on a lane he has yet to get a strike on, and as you can see, his ball reaction there quite a bit better than it was when he left the floor a game ago.
Well, he must have found something in practice, because obviously if he didn't like that lane, he'd have had John May finish on it.
Seven pin for John May.
Not a bad shot. John's trying to keep ball speed out of there. Right now he's spinning it through the front, but he's trying to keep his speed slow so that the ball will have time to make that move from right to left and get the 5 pin into the 7 and not in front of it. Or in this case, trapped by the 4 pin.
I'll tell you what, the work that he did with Brian Graham last week and the changes he's made in his game, he looks, this is the best I've ever seen John May throw it, in my opinion.
Takes care of the 7 pin. I'll recap that story after finishing last in the qualifying blocks El Paso last week. He said he was exhausted and had it, was not performing well, and was on the verge of packing up his things and going back to North Carolina and leaving the tour. He was that close before getting some coaching, as Randy talked about, and here he is in the finals against Chris Barnes. "60 feet to success for John May, a big strike to put some pressure early on Barnes." And Randy, I'm not sure in all the TV shows we've done with Chris Barnes, I've ever seen him this intense, this early in a match. He's pumped up, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, and I think it's because last week he made the show. He's more comfortable today. Keep in mind, this guy right here, well, since 2000, hang on one second after the shot, I'll tell you. Shit. Since 2000, there's only been one guy that make more TV shows than Chris Barnes, and that guy is Walter Ray Williams Jr.
How about that? 42, just one behind the great Walter Ray, the all-time title record holder, and our Norm Duke, 32. Hopefully many more to come, Norm, for you when the toe's healed up and you're back to 100%.
Norm would probably be at 35 if
well, I was
getting
complacent, and then I saw that match. I mean, that stat. Now I'm ready to go again. Looking for the 4-bagger to start.
Touch high and a 4 pin.
A little early.
Guys, there's a lot to be said about posture at the foul line, and Chris Barnes said it himself. He says, "Randy, I'm just bowling really, really good right now." And I think when you watch Chris and you watch his posture, as long as he's not tilting front to back, up and down, he keeps that upper body pretty stationary, that's when you can pretty much tell he's throwing it good.
In front of the hometown fans, Chris Barnes has a lead in the championship match of the GEICO Classic.
Good to be back home.
He's only 20 minutes from home. Got to be comfortable, right? Special thanks, hello to Donnie Griffin, AMF Dallas District Manager. First time ever AMF Irving Lanes here in Irving, Texas have hosted a Denny's PBA Tour event. Glad to be here. Always great to be back in the Dallas area.
If you don't like Dallas, you're just not an American, pal.
That's what we've been trying to tell you all this time.
Chris Barnes, originally from Topeka, Kansas, went to Wichita State, now calls Dallas home against John May from near Charlotte, North Carolina. Works on a strike, crossing over Brooklyn. Wow.
You know, we saw this with DeVaney in last match, right out of the commercial break, right through the face. And now after this commercial break, here comes John May. You know, it's just hard to keep that level of excitement up when you have 4 minutes of just solitude. You want to keep in your own. And in doing so, he comes out a little bit stale. But I tell you, he got that strike for the double to pull within 10 more pins. And with one right here, takes a lead by 1 pin.
Fifth frame. 4-pin on a good-looking shot.
Yeah, both of the players are trying to get the ball to just lay right there in front of the pocket. And in both cases, Chris in the 4th frame. And John in this frame, the ball just does not want to lay, wants to tip up a little bit, leaves the 4-pin. Both players that are happy with that.
Has the spare. Chris Barnes has been very relaxed. He's had the home crowd behind him, and going to that commercial break, Randy seemed pretty confident that he could take this home, didn't he?
I've never been one to celebrate early, sir. That's just me. I wanted to wait until it was in the bag, and I had about 1 or 2 frames left. Wow. But maybe Chris has got the crystal ball in the bag this week. Who knows?
Well, that's his best shot of the afternoon. He posted that one up from the get-go. He knew it was high flush.
Lane breakdown left and right.
And you can see how he's fared much better on the right lane, which, again, I question why he finished or chose to finish on this left lane, but I don't think I've ever seen Chris Barnes look this confident in some time.
Oh! And he'll take that break gladly, won't he? A high shot that brings all 10 down to the high 10 for his twin boys.
Well, and a shot that brings the crowd in play. He hasn't had the crowd all day, Randy, and all of a sudden, breaks like that puts him into it.
Hey, John May went Brooklyn for a double, and Chris Barnes said, well, let's see if I can catch a little break myself.
Big shot, 6th frame, all 10 down for May.
And see, this guy here's got nothing to lose. I mean, John May's going to let it all hang out. No matter what Chris Barnes does, there's going to be no quitting this guy because he's not supposed to win. He's not supposed to be Chris Barnes. He shouldn't even be on the show. But you know what? John May's got heart, and this kid can bowl. He's won 21 regional titles. And he says, you know what? I better take advantage of this situation.
Off. 2-4-8. Missed the head pin.
Yeah, and his worst shot of the afternoon here, just sailing the head pin, didn't get any of the hand in it. Kind of got the spin in it, but just didn't get any lift.
Yeah, he dead missed it at the bottom, and it couldn't have come at a worse time when he was working on a strike. This is the 7th frame, and obviously right now he just needs to cover the spare and then hope.
Which he does nicely. But the low pin count on that first ball will hurt him.
Boy, if you want to turn around struggles on television right now for Chris Barnes, it is the time. He's in a situation where 2 strikes right here all but ends this. And if he doesn't get the 2 strikes, he'll still have a chance in the 9th and 10th probably to win it again. So it's like a free shot to win it here.
big strike. His family loves it. The advantage balloons to 30 pins. And we saw Randy a moment ago the stat on 15 second place finishes. He only wins 31.8% of his championship matches, but that could all be exercised today, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could. And did you ever think, Norm, that we would see scores this high? I mean, Chris Barnes is going at 279 pace right now.
Well, you know, it just depends on when you catch the pairs. They're breaking them down. If you're in front of the moves, I can see it. But not from every
four-bagger. A little high there, guys, on the 4-7.
We are talking about Chris Barnes. He can shoot 279 in the parking lot.
And he was a little surprised at this shot, but quite honestly, this is exactly what he needs to do at this juncture, is just leave himself stuff that he can make when he doesn't strike. The 4-7 spare is a pretty easy spare to shoot at.
Which he converts. Firmly in control now.
Yeah, and John May, his situation is simple. Don't miss. You strike out for 239. The pace for Chris Barnes is 237. That would force him to double, but don't miss.
There's one, Norm, as the 10 topples.
Yeah, and he knows it too, Norm. You're right. He can't miss to have any chance here.
Taking his time. He knows this is the biggest shot of the year for him. He likes it.
10 pin.
How could you not like that one, Randy? That was just pure off his hand. He was on one knee.
Especially after the last shot he threw on this lane. You give John a mark here, and the best he can shoot is 219. Chris Barnes is already in the 230s, so looks like a pretty tall order at this juncture.
Right, for John May. Chris Barnes needing one mark in 2 frames to lock it up. I think he can handle that.
Chris has had incredible success. PBA Tour title in Dallas, 2 Roll to Riches titles in this area, totaling $400,000. Trying to win another in his hometown. Yes! And he's getting closer now.
Yeah, it's pretty much done now. He just puts him at 227 with an open in any kind of count. So Chris Barnes needs to stay behind the foul line, get 7 pins, and he will be your champion once again in the great city of Dallas.
And keep this lane.
7 pins. He is a winner for the 8th time in his career on the Denny's PBA Tour. Chris Barnes has done it. First title of the season. This is 4th show. And the twins saw it in person. Mom's telling him, yeah, Dad just won. It's over. Home cooking.
That was a fantastic shot there. Well, to me, mountain for me to climb.
Yeah, well
too good
said.
to not strike on that lane.
Well said. One too many mountains for me to climb. And now Chris Barnes, he gets a shot at a victory lap here. Boy, you can tell he is elated.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
This match is over, and Chris Barnes will celebrate with the boys. Brian and Troy. Early birthday present.
I'm gonna go.
They'll be 5 in May. And they get to celebrate with Dad on the lanes. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, they just want a ball. You know, they give me that ball.
Just
Dad.
want to roll it right now.
Go get the trophy.
Johnny May, keep your chin up. Great
Hey,
week.
just a second.
We're going to clap for John. Give John a high five.
Yeah, it was a great week for John May. Cannot say enough about his struggles.
This moment belongs to the Barnes family.
Here's my champions right here.
John May came awfully close. Tour title number 8 in front of family and friends in Dallas. Exercises the demons and a lot of TV struggles. Chris Barnes certainly happy to get that victory and put himself back in the winner's circle again for the first time this season, and this is his 4th TV show. And I would think maybe Chris Barnes, with all these TV appearances and then this victory, could make a run for Player of the Year as well. Let's go back to Randy Norm now to recap today's action.
Thanks, Dave. And the hometown favorite, Chris Barnes, boy, he really was very impressive today. Norm, why do you think that he was able to do what he did today?
Well, I think 2 things come to mind. First is the oil pattern. Kept the scores really low. Now, that bodes well for somebody as talented as Chris Barnes because he can do anything with his hand that he wants to make the ball maneuver differently, and his spare game is flawless.
Let's take a look at some of the highlights. Semifinal number 1, Chris Barnes got off to a really nice start and then just kept the pressure on Bill O'Neill, taking care of that matchup, 229 to 192. Our second semifinal, Norm, John May took care of Mike DeVaney, and he did it with some excitement.
Yeah, he threw some great shots. Made all of his spares. He only posted 193, but I think it was a better game than that.
In the championship match, though, it was all Chris Barnes. Yes! And he threw great shots when he had to, and threw a lot of strikes, and got a great break.
Yeah, probably one of the best games that he's played for a title in a long time.
Let's go down to the lanes with Dave Ryan and our winner.
All right, Randy, thanks. And the twins of Ryan and Troy are here, too. They'll be 5 years old in May. It's an early birthday present. I don't think they get to handle a trophy, though, Chris, do they?
Well, they'd love to. I tell you what, these guys have been holding it the whole time. It is fantastic to be back here in Dallas. You know, good things seem to happen to me when I'm here, and it's nothing more fun than bowling for your friends and family.
Chris, you told us yesterday to get a victory was so important, to start piling up the titles, to really point your career in the right direction. How would you best describe this feeling?
Well, it's euphoric anytime you win, and if finishing second that many times does anything, it makes you appreciate these days a whole lot more. And you try and hang on to it for as long as you can, and what better environment to enjoy it than in front of all your friends.
Not bad to get another victory in Dallas. The crowd loves it here in Texas, certainly. Very early in the title match with John May, you seem to have so much confidence. What started that?
Well, I've been bowling really good for the last 3 weeks, and in practice, the left lane turned out to be a lot better than it was the first match. That changed again halfway through, but I felt like I had a good hold on the pair, and I was throwing good shots, and getting off to a good start was really important. I felt like it was in my hands from there.
This is 4 TV shows. This is a title for you. The Player of the Year race is wide open. 3 majors to go. Are you a candidate?
Well, I just think anybody's a candidate right now that's you know, somewhere towards the top in points. With 3 majors to go, anything can happen. Somebody puts on a nice run during those 3 tournaments. They'll probably pull off Player of the Year.
Congratulations. Chris Barnes winning here in Dallas, Texas, and Irving, just outside the Metroplex. A big victory for him, only 20 minutes from his house. Sunday, next week, a week from today, 12:30 Eastern Time, the Go RVing Classic from Council Bluffs, Iowa, near Omaha. Look forward to seeing you again next week on the Denny's PBA Tour. With wife Linda, one of the world's best female bowlers, and twins Ryan and Troy watching Chris Barnes, a tremendous performance. There the twins get to handle a trophy with Dad's help. Congratulations to Chris. He's faced so much pressure, so many struggles on TV, but that all changes today as he comes through for his 8th career Denny's PBA Tour title. Now for the entire crew, Randy Peterson, Norm Dukas, Dave Ryan saying so long. It's been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Dodge Extreme Bowls coming up next. Chris Barnes raises the trophy again for the first time this year, and the 8th time in his great career. We look forward to seeing you next week from just outside Omaha, Nebraska. So long, everyone.